Hello, my name is William James. How are all of you? So let's start this one. So I want to talk about Romeo and Juliet, but not the Shakespeare original. And I will say this, I love Shakespeare. I love reading Shakespeare, but Shakespeare is designed to be watched, not read. And that's often why people find it quite dry. So, yeah, fluffy beard day. So, what I was about to say. Romeo and Juliet in an adaptation. So I picked 5 adaptations of Romeo and Juliet. 5. And believe it or not, the storyline has been used many times, adaptations around the world. And I've picked from very true to text, to retellings, to inspired by. I went down the list. There is a lot of Romeo and Juliet, and you realise how many times this has been used. I want to say this is all of my own opinion. These are adaptations I love and have watched numerous times and adore. I've just hit the thing. Hello. And adaptations that I think are a nice ease in. Some of them are bigger than others, some of them are quite small, but they're all beautiful and they're all unique in a different way. So I hope you guys enjoy this. And before we get going, please like, subscribe, and comment down below on your favourite adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, because it'll be really interesting to know. It can be a book, it can be a film, it can be TV, it can be anything. So, Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet. I'm going to start with probably the most true to original script adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. It's beautifully written, it's beautifully performed, the soundtrack by Morricone is beautiful, and just a stunning film. It puts it into a more historical context of the era. It's completely historically accurate, air quotes, I mean that with air quotes, but it's beautiful and charming and packs an emotional punch. It's worth watching for the performances alone, and the music is epic. A stunning adaptation, a stunning way of presenting it, and I think out of all the ones that I went through, remains up there in my top list forever. It's charming, it's stunning, it's beautifully shot, the scenery, the performance, like I said, the acting is great, and it's such a refreshing performance to watch, and it is completely 100% the original text. The Bubble. Now, this is an Israeli movie, it's a gay Israeli movie, about a Palestinian and an Israeli boy. The bubble refers to Tel Aviv, which is its own bubble within quite a volatile region of the world. Tel Aviv is a bubble. I've been there, I've spent a lot of time in Tel Aviv, and it kind of reminds me of Sydney and that kind of vibe. And it's a bubble. You wouldn't know where you are. It's a very modern city. And this sort of bubble of independent music shops and cafes and people. And we all know how Romeo and Juliet ends. So I can't really... spoilers for that one. But this is a fun little film. It's heartbreaking. It's well performed. It takes itself very seriously. It's obviously in Hebrew with English subtitles, and also elements of the film are in Arabic as well. It's just a really well done film, and great little soundtrack, lots of charming indie music, and a nice representation of that part of the world. And there's no romanticism here. It definitely plays it quite dark and very straight, but great little film overall, and one that I definitely think you need to watch. Romeo Must Die. Now, this is an interesting one, focusing around 2 gangs within an urban sprawl. You have the brilliant Aaliyah in this film, and this film is a little bit budget in places, and it shows, and it's a kung fu movie, but it really does handle the Romeo and Juliet trope really well. It's great fun. Again, great soundtrack. Timbaland, Aaliyah, Try Again being its most well-known song, but overall a great soundtrack. Chuck in some Missy Elliott too. This is a really good, strong film. The narrative flow, the performances are good. Watching Aaliyah and knowing what she could have become, and it's just a shame that most of her music is unavailable to most audiences now, which is such a shame overall. because she's such a great artist. This is a great adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, and it handles the story and it handles the characters and the plots well. All the characters are there, the way they handle it, the interplay between them, and just a great fun movie. Baz Luhrmann's Romeo Plus, or Romeo and Juliet. Brilliant Claire Danes and a very young Leo DiCaprio. This is a modern adaptation using the language. So all the language is there, and it does trim some scenes. It does, which helps the narrative flow, but it's beautifully shot, a heavy influence of sort of Catholicism throughout this film, and Fair Verona and how it's portrayed, and the rival families. This is a beautiful performance, and so charming. Claire Danes can be a little grating sometimes, I will say this. I think this is her best performance she's ever given as an actress. And this film is beautiful. There is a stunning cover of Prince's When Doves Cry in this film that's just worth listening to. It's beautiful. And it's just a great performance. And it's a really nice MTV-inspired movie. I love Baz Luhrmann. You know, who doesn't love some Moulin Rouge? Or Gatsby. But this remains my favourite film by him, and one of my favourite adaptations ever of Romeo and Juliet, and actually what started my love of Shakespeare. West Side Story. I love West Side Story. Again, a great musical adaptation inspired by adaptation, it depends on who you talk to, of Romeo and Juliet. Rival gangs, two people fall in love, star-crossed lovers. We all know a girl like Maria. No, you don't need to hear me sing. The soundtrack is beautiful, and it's one of my favourite films. The choreography in this film is stunning. The soundtrack is stunning. It's beautifully shot, and the performances are stunning. It also touches upon a lot of things that were going on politically at that time. It's quite interesting. It's subtle. It doesn't ram it down your throat, but it's there. A beautiful film, great adaptation, great story, great performances, great soundtrack. I've watched West Side Story too many times in my life, and I've seen the stage show numerous times as well. West Side Story is a true classic of Hollywood, and definitely set into motion what would come musically, and inspired a lot. So do check out West Side Story.